need you to move, dude. Okay. Come here, you. I need my chair. Oh, yeah. Alright, I wanted to do another movie thing, because I just saw a movie twice in a row, and I'm going to review it. So there. The movie in this case was Thor Ragnarok. I just saw it literally twice in a row. Like, I saw it yesterday, late yesterday, and I just saw it, like, I just finished watching it a few minutes ago. And just briefly, it's a very good movie. I mean, if you just want to know, for whatever reason, what I think about it, I thought it was pretty good. You should go see it. Happy post-Halloween, by the way. This is a pretty uneventful Halloween season. Movie-wise, too, I can't really recall a lot of particularly interesting or exciting Halloween movies coming out either. Either way, this movie came out, and right out of the gate, this is just a balls fucking crazy movie. This might be this is definitely the weirdest Thor movie, by far. And Thor movies have had floating fire trucks and reality-altering stuff and flying Nordic wooden ships and all sorts of madness. But this one kind of takes the cake. Expanding on that a little bit. Pacing. Let's start there. In fact, pacing. Most Marvel movies, with a few exceptions, most Marvel movies start out pretty fast. They have a pretty fast-paced introduction. They sort of hit the ground running. I think that's what they've decided that their default thing is. Like, there's going to be a fight, or there's probably going to be a fight, or some sort of conflict. It starts up very, stuff's going on. Here's the history. Here's the backstory you probably already know, but we're going to throw it at you anyway, just in case. And also, it's probably been a while since you've seen one of these movies, so let's do a little review. But they start with, like, kind of fast-paced. They slow down a bit, they take a moment, and then they get into their normal rhythm. This movie doesn't do that. Thor Ragnarok starts fast, starts to speed up, and then maintains that pace throughout the entire film, with the exception of a very, very few spots here and there. The frantic pace of this film continues through just a handful of scenes where they slow down enough to do a little bit of exposition and character development. Otherwise, this film is a rapid fire. It's just non-stop. It doesn't slow down a bit, and that's a bit jarring. It's like, here's the backstory for this, here's the backstory for this, here's this guy, here's Jeff Goldblum's character, yeah, here's 5 seconds to explain who the hell he is. Which is cool, because it relies more on the scenes themselves, show don't tell, which is always good advice. But, man, it crams a lot of stuff in. The downside of this film was, it was goofy. It was a goofy film. There were moments where it was like, that's just silly. And I don't just mean like a thing happened, but also the dialogue was it was over the top. I tend to like more serious films, so that kind of was a little off-putting for me, but otherwise I enjoyed the hell out of it. In the movie theater, I thought it was funny. Other people thought it was hilarious. Like, people would not stop laughing. So clearly, this wasn't aimed at me, but whoever it was aimed for loved the hell out of it. I liked it. I liked a lot of the stuff that was in it, and I liked the character development, by and large. I like how Tom Hiddleston's character straddles good and evil non-stop throughout the film. I wish they hadn't told us the degree to which the Hulk was in the movie, because there were a bunch of scenes that would have been big surprises had they not been in the freaking commercials. Other than that, this movie was very interesting in that it was very good performances from a lot of actors who've been involved with the Thor trilogy of movies at this point. Everyone was interesting. My one complaint was we didn't see very much of Anthony Hopkins. I mean, we saw a bit of him, but he's not in it for very long. If you were hoping to see, as I did, a bit more of Benedict Cumberbatch as Doctor Strange, don't hold your breath. He's in it for he's not even in it for 5 minutes. The art direction was very, very interesting. Worth mentioning, all the spaceships didn't look like generic spaceships that you see in Marvel movies. more like Guardians of the Galaxy. Everything looked like it was painted like a Trapper Keeper from the 80s. The 80s is a reoccurring theme, as you probably guessed from the advertising for it. The music was by Mark Mothersbaugh from Devo and others. Actor-wise, special shout-out to Cate Blanchett, who is apparently immortal. Jeff Goldblum was freaking amazing. This character was really quite awesome. And Chris Hemsworth, who I think they finally let him just do whatever, like have some real room to move theatrically. He could do a lot more stuff, and given some leeway to do stuff, his character is much more interesting. Once again, this movie's way over the top. Not way over the top, but pretty far over the top. I mean, it's given Guardians of the Galaxy a run for its money. In sheer silliness, goofiness, it's the goofiest of any of the movies I've seen so far, of the Marvel movies. Even more than Guardians of the Galaxy, the first one. But that said, it is an awful lot of fun. It is a very fun movie. A lot of people were laughing nonstop in the audience, so apparently a lot of people really dig it. It wasn't my kind of humor, but I thought it was enjoyable. One last thing, Tom Hiddleston was really excellent in this. I'm not sure I gave a shout out to him earlier. He was very good in this, but he always is. I mean, God Christ, I think his character's been in more of these than some of the other heroes. His presence makes me think that the thinking behind this movie was the Thor movies tend to be kind of the middling movies, at least as far as sales. We're taking out all the stops. We're throwing in the Hulk. Mark Mothersbaugh is doing the soundtrack. We're having Trapper Keeper colors on our spaceships. We're having crazy explosions. We have a number of scenes that are happening in slow motion where it looks like an album cover from like the 80s. The 80s theme is just reoccurring constantly. You can't get away from it. And it's pretty good. It's very entertaining. It's not really as nostalgia-y as I suspect they wanted it to be, but it is good, and it is a good time. My review for this, which is, what are the odds you're going to see this movie and not like it? And I think pretty low. It has some stuff that annoyed me, but for movies that have annoying things in them, people nitpick them because they didn't like the movie. It's like, I didn't like this movie, and here's a bunch of other stuff that pissed me off. You have a movie you really like, or that's very enjoyable, or that kind of goes that extra mile, you're willing to forgive a lot. Likewise, this movie had a lot of goofiness, but it was goofiness well served. It was very enjoyable. I think the number of people who are going to come away from this felt like they wasted their money on a ticket is going to be very, very low. I'm going to say as low as 1 in 10. Maybe 1 in 8. Because it's a fun film. Just don't take it seriously. It's a fun film. Would I see it again? Well, goddamn, I just saw it twice. So, yeah, I guess so. Or right, one after another. Would I see it a third time? Maybe, yeah. It was pretty good. It's worth rewatching. Simply because there's enough going on, it's worth seeing at least twice. And like all the Marvel movies, I mean, I can't, sit here and expound on what a visual masterpiece it is, because they're all freaking like that. So it's visually stunning like all the others. It did have its own distinct look, and this borrowed a lot more from Guardians of the Galaxy than, for example, the previous Thor movie. Other than that, just go see it. It's pretty good. It's very enjoyable, and one little caveat, the first time I saw it, there was a little kid in the theater, and no spoilers, but when the undead monsters came out, that kid was crying a lot. There were a lot of explosions and undead monsters. It's not a little kid movie. But other than that, yeah, go see it. It's fun. It's a fun time.